They told us to give a disclaimer. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the podcasters, any guests, and do not reflect any of the management, owners, sponsorships, or employees of thereof. Pretty much, if you're soft, don't listen to this podcast.
One thing I pride myself on is just being the same and trying to look out for my folks along the way.
Like, even with all these, big things happening, like, you still mad humble, and you still, like, you have enough clout now where you could easily be like, I'm not fucking with this, I'm not fucking with that.
Oh yeah, motherfuckers, it's on. Unrestricted Podcast listeners, thank you so much for clicking play. Because of you, those numbers are going up, up, and up. And I've been saying for the longest time that it is hoodie season, and it is truly hoodie season now, especially here in Utah. We have dipped below 40 degrees. Got the little chills as soon as I got outside.
So cold, so cold.
So help this podcast monetarily. Go buy a hoodie. Go buy a t-shirt. Allrock.com, ALLRAWK.com. But if you don't want to make a monetary donation, I know it's hard out here for a lot of people. I'm a father of 3, husband of 1, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle. But if you want to support, maybe not monetarily, share this podcast. Share it with a friend. Tell a friend about it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's all free to do that stuff. Go do it now. Now, today I got a very special guest across from me. This episode is, I want to say, about 2 years in the making.
Yes.
This is something that I'm very passionate about because the product that we're going to be talking about has helped me in my health journey. And I got representing GloPop. I got Trish in the building. Yay! Now, Trish, I need you to get right up on that mic.
All right.
So pull it to the edge of the. I want the people to hear the voice.
Yes, the voice. I feel like I should almost drop it lower. So I'm like, oh, hello.
Oh, hello. Trish, you are with GloPop, but you also, we were talking off air, you also have a story outside of GloPop that I'm really interested in. Now, I want to start off with, are you from Utah?
You know what? So not born and raised here, but I'm a transplant here. So my husband's from here. So I've been here for the last, 23 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
A while.
I know.
Originally from where?
Washington State and Arizona and California. So the West Coast. And came out here, met my husband. He gave me a good reason to stay. Plus these mountains, right?
Beautiful.
They're beautiful.
But
They're
Northwest, very competitive.
That's true. That's true. But we have more sunshine here.
See, I'm opposite. I love the rain.
Oh, you
I love
do?
the doom and gloom.
Stop.
I love Gotham City.
Oh, see, I'm one of those people. I sleep with my blinds open, so in the morning the sun comes in and wakes me up, and I'm like, good morning.
You are a crazy woman. I need the darkness. I need the blacked out curtains.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So I lived in Portland and on the hilltops in Tacoma.
Awesome.
For about 10 years.
Wait, Tacoma. Okay, so do you know where Yelm, Washington is?
Yeah.
I am originally from Yelm.
You're a small town girl.
Yes, we had a blinking red light when I moved there. And then it was like a parade when they had their first real stoplight. Like, it was a big deal.
Dang.
I know. Small time girl.
So you meet your husband.
Yes.
How did you guys meet?
He was on the corner of 12th Street with a sign that said looking for a good time in Ogden. I was like, I'm looking for a good time. No, I'm kidding. So actually, we met through a mutual friend. He was at our church and just met through him. And then we just kicked it off. And when I originally moved here, I had been a flight attendant out in Chicago. And I moved here to help family. And I said, I'm not going to go to Utah and get married right away. Like, I'm not going to be one of those people. Yeah. And I was just 20 when I moved here. And 9 months later, no, it wasn't from a baby. It just so happened to be 9 months. But 9 months later, I was married. So we've been together for 22 and a half years.
Damn.
So yeah, I know. I'm like old.
You're
now.
living the Utah stereotype.
Right? In my 40s now with like 12 kids. Just kidding. Yeah. And then once we moved here, like it just grew on me. I love the outdoors. I love the mountains. I love the energy. I love the people here.
We are a hidden gem.
Absolutely.
And I was thinking about this. I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast that he had with Post Malone, right? And we all know Post lives here.
Yeah.
I think it's Morgan he lives in. But it's really interesting to see how many big celebrity type people know how beautiful Utah is and how it's not this stereotypical Mormon. And I mean, of course, like it's a religion state, and I don't think that's a problem. I don't think it's a problem. I think it brings, I don't know if safety is the right word, but I think it brings a good understanding, like good.
It's like a grounding.
Yeah.
Kind of grounding, right? Have you been to Post Malone's Raising Cane's?
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not, right?
It's pretty cool. I think it's cool.
It's iconic.
Having the memorabilia. I'm upset that they damaged the truck though.
Yes.
They broke the truck for F1 Trillionaire.
They did.
Hurt my heart because that was a beautiful vehicle.
Did you shed a tear?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to judge you. This
bit.
is the square of trust right here. You can talk about it.
That and the millions of
viewers. And the millions of viewers. Right?
Yeah. But I want a restaurant with my face on it.
I know. Who doesn't? Like, I think about it sometimes now. After I went there, I was like, how cool would that be?
Yeah. You did, you talk to me about being kind of the face of Maverick.
Yeah. So when I have been in the acting modeling industry since I was 12. I've been this exact same height, which is like almost 5'7" since I was 12. So when I was 12, they were like, oh, she's going to be a supermodel and she's going to be so tall. And anyways, I didn't end up growing anymore. Like I stopped and then I got curves. And anyway, so I eventually ended up going from the modeling side to acting. And when I moved back to Utah, not back to here, but when I moved to Utah, I started getting back into it again and eventually had my kids, and just every single time I'd pick back up with it. And I had an agent here. Still have an agent. And yeah, I went into an audition for Maverick, the gas station, and got cast as Summer, the Adventure's First Stop Girl.
That's dope.
So yeah, right. And I drive a minivan, so it's pretty interesting. Like I would pull up to places and people would be like, you're the Adventure's First Stop Girl in your minivan. And I'm like, heck yeah, I am.
Caravan matters.
Caravan. Yes, the Swagger Wagon. Haven't you seen those Toyota Sienna Swagger Wagon commercials? Yeah. I mean, if you're going to have a van, that's where it's at.
My friend in New York, Saif, he has a bit, he's a comedian. Yeah. He has a bit where he's like, when I order my Uber, don't send a Dodge Caravan. I need a what's it called? A Yukon Denali.
Right?
I was like, yeah, but the Caravan's more like, get your friends in there.
Well, listen, and do you know how much, so I like to do things with my hands. I like to build things, woodworking and things like that, like shelves and all of that. Do you know how much lumber I can get in the back of my minivan? Like I can lay those back seats all the way down. I'm talking like 8-foot planks. You can't do that in a Denali.
No. Are you a DIYer?
I am. I absolutely am.
I could just imagine you're like the TikTok, like we're going to make like a whole Christmas cake thing out of nothing but pool stuff from summer.
You know what? That kind of is me. That is kind of me. I'm not going to lie.
That's cool.
Like I would be sitting here absolutely lying to you if I said that wasn't me at all. But I'm like, I'll see things and I'm like, I can do that. There's this gal called Elise Myers. Have you seen her? She's on like Facebook and Instagram. Anyways, she said this phrase once that she was like, I feel like I have that. I can do anything at least half-ass pretty well gene, right? And I have that exact same thing where I can look at something and I'm like, I think I can do that pretty decent. Like I can figure it out. It might not be perfect, but it's going to be pretty dang good.
Yeah.
And I'm not a perfectionist.
I think that's how you learn new things, right?
Absolutely, just
trying it and figuring it out.
Yes.
That's how I started the podcast. I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I didn't know how to set up a camera. I didn't know how to edit this stuff. But during the pandemic, I was like, if they can do it, like, why not me? Why can't
and now you're
it?
like 2 shots. Look at that. You're like looking both ways.
Look at you,
making the eye contact. Camera A and camera B. Sometimes you set the wind up in here for you, and you go like this with your braids.
Oh yeah.
Like, yes.
If I let the braids out, Fabio status.
I love it.
Kids, you don't know about Fabio.
No. They're going to now. Yeah. Everybody's going to Google it and be like, Fabio? Who is Fabio?
Your modeling career.
Yeah.
Take me through that. Like, how was that? Was it, because you think, when I think about modeling, I think of like Naomi Campbell.
Yeah, no. So I'm definitely not that. I'm not couture modeling. I'm not tall enough for anything like that. So I've always kind of done more lifestyle catalog work. I've done things for Overstock. And when I was younger, I did things for JCPenney and the store 579. That's going to age me. But 579 is like gone, right? Like that was like, I was in the 90s doing. And so there's, over time, I've done things for a lot of outdoor companies, and I've gone and I've done fit modeling since I'm like kind of a typical size. I'm not overly curvy, but I'm not rail thin petite. So I kind of fit into what's now known as like average sizing. So I've been tapering back the last few years. We're also foster parents.
Oh, okay.
And so I've kind of tapered that as a little bit as well, but we've had a lot going on. And so I'm kind of I'm in this point in my life where I'm like just going with the flow of things and figuring out what I want to do next. Right. It's one of those, but that's what's been so cool. So I started working with Nate, and
for those of you listening, Nate is the owner of GloPop.
Of GloPop, yeah. I actually, so this is a funny story. Do you care if I get into it?
Absolutely. That's what this is for.
Okay, so this is perfect. So, like 3 years ago is when it was like 2 or 3 years ago is when I first met them. So I was working for another company as director of product placement for them. And one of the shows we would go to are these counterculture shows, the Champs shows is what it's called. And there's everything from CBD, THC, kratom, kava, the honeys, the shrooms, everything, right? You name it, it's there. Vapes. And so the company that I was with it was in this kind of weird niche, right? And we would go and we'd fly out and go to these shows. Well, so I was taking a flight to this Champs show, and it was a red-eye flight, and I go to get on in Salt Lake City. And we were flying to Philadelphia, I believe, and Atlantic City, New Jersey is where this show was going to be at.
Oh, wow.
So it was a red-eye flight, and I go to hop on the airplane, and all of first class is full-on neon, head to toe. And so I'm pretty outgoing, and I just love I enjoy talking to people and making friends, and so I see all this neon, and it was late at night in my defense, but I just turned and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys look fabulous. It looks like a highlighter threw up all over first class. Because it was just like first, and they laughed, and we, went about the trip, and then we land, and I thought, what are the chances that they're going to the same place that we are? Like it's probably a pretty high chance, because you don't see people dressed like that at this late, and going here. And anyways, they had said they were going to Atlantic City. So we get to the show and we set up our booth, and they are in a booth over from us. And I see them and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the highlighter groups, and like making fun and just teasing. So then we became friends. So then every time I'd see them at the show, it was like, hey, how's it going? And knowing they were here locally was awesome as well, right? So we had that natural bond. So then when I left the other company, Nate had contacted me, and he's like, I would love it if you'd come on board and do some things with us. And I was like, absolutely, I'm going to do it. So then I came on board, and I'm a firm believer, even with my modeling days, like I don't like selling a product if I can't stand behind it. If it's not something I like, I'm not going to stand behind it. Mm-hmm. Just principle of it just feels weird to me. Like, I get it, paychecks are paychecks, but so I first tried the gummy mushrooms, the gummy shrooms, right? And I did it when my kids were gone, and I took half of one, and I folded more laundry and cleaned my house than I have all week. Like, I just sat down, and it made something that is not enjoyable for me. Not that I was like loving it and being like, oh, laundry, it's so great. But I was like, okay, yeah, like I can focus, I can get this done. Very functional, and just great. Like, that was something that I need. I feel like a lot of times when we're doing things we don't really want to do, that it's really easy to be distracted by other things, right?
Absolutely.
And so with this, I was like, laundry, done. And then I'm like, let's write a list of everything I want to clean. Oh, floors, baseboards, check. And so I loved it. And I was like, okay, I can stand behind this. This is great. CBD, THC gummies, they have those as well, and they're great. But the big thing that I absolutely love that we've come out with, and we have erotic gummies, his and hers, those are fabulous as well for their own reasons. But this NuHoney is so, so cool. And it's so innovative. That's something that I really like about Nate, the owner, is that he's like, I was telling you a little bit before we started, he really researches his products. He's innovative. And in an industry that's constantly changing, you have the vape industry is going through a change right now with the flavor ban. You have THC, CBD regulations going out, kratom regulations. And this right now, it's not regulated. It's literally honey, right? And if you think about the basis of medicinal medicines, right? Like herbal medicines. So you think about mushrooms, and we'll talk about mushrooms. Like mushrooms have been around and used for medicinal purposes centuries. Chinese people have been using it. Like the Native Americans have been using it. There are so many things that have been created that are grown naturally in the earth that are used for so many different purposes that we haven't even touched on all of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, Western medicine's very like cut off.
Very cut off.
Right? So when you talk about Eastern medicine and they've been doing it for a very long time. It's a new concept, kind of. The reason why I say kind of is because it's not. It's the pharmaceutical companies want to hold
absolutely,
the small people back, right?
Yes.
Because if GloPop can come out with a product that can take over a pill.
Right.
What's that,
And that's the thing, that there's been research that's been done on so many of these shrooms and honeys and things like that, where they've seen that it helps boost your mood. It helps you to be able to feel more euphoric, to feel more level-headed, lion's mane, calm. There's all these different things in shrooms that help you to feel, and the different kinds of mushrooms bring different sort of euphoric feelings or different peace, or some help clear the fogginess. That's not new, right? It seems new because we're talking about it more.
Yeah.
But like if you look at the research that's being done for people with PTSD, therapists are using shrooms to guide people on journeys. So NuHoney has been being used in Nepal for centuries. Shamans take it and they take people on this spiritual journey. The NuHoney itself, so what it is there's this bee in Nepal.
And just real quick, NuHoney, or if you hear us talk about Mad Honey, that's what we're talking about. It's the newest product that
we have
that came out.
Yeah, and so Mad Honey, that's the terminology. We've just branded ours as NuHoney. Mad Honey is honey that's made from this bee in Nepal. This bee goes and pollinates this flower in Nepal. That flower has grayotoxins in it. That flower is typically poisonous. If you were to go and just eat the flower by itself, you would be poisoned, right? What they've found is that the byproduct, or the honey that this bee produces after pollinating this flower, has some of those grayotoxins in it. So it has its natural abilities to help you. It's a natural ability to have you be able to feel euphoric and happy, and these feelings.
When you say euphoric, is this an easy way to say high?
That's something that you've got to decide if you want to say or not. Like, I feel like saying high sometimes, when we think of the connotations of high, we're thinking feeling a way that maybe we're not necessarily in control of, right? Gotcha. So what I like about this is it's grounding. I don't like feeling out of control with things. I don't drink. I'm actually pretty straight-laced in my life. And I've done the honey 6 times since I've been with the company in a year. And every time, I'll tell you, the first time I went and I did it, I was like, I'm going to go for a hike. Because we have all these mountains here, right? And I had a lot of my coworkers that had done it, and I saw how it was. And I went on a hike up by Tunnel Springs, and the wind was blowing, and the sun was out, and the clouds were just perfect, and the birds were chirping. And not that I thought I was actually Snow White, but it was very much like a princess feeling, where I was like, I bet you if I put my hand out there, a bird might come and land on it.
And that bird was talking to her.
And it was talking to me. And so that's what was so cool, is that it wasn't where, I think with a lot of psychedelics, you think that you're going to have like your face melting off or like clocks spinning at you. I've had experiences like that before, and I didn't like that, right? I didn't like where I was like, the time, like shrooms before, back in the day when I was in the 90s, like you were like, oh my gosh, when is this gonna end?
Yeah.
And this, I very much felt control. I felt like I was loving life. I always compare it as if ecstasy and shrooms were to have a love child. honey would be it.
NuHoney.
It's the best of both worlds. What it's doing is you feel the euphoric, like I was saying, like the body buzz a little bit of the body buzz of like ecstasy, right? Where the touch and sensations feel great. Like the wind's gonna blow and you're gonna be like, oh, I noticed the wind blowing. My hair is blowing in the wind, right?
Yeah.
Like get that fan right here. You're going to feel that. And then you also feel a little bit of that, like, again, if you want to use the word high, that like body high, that just, I just feel good. I feel present. I feel alert.
You mentioned you have 2 different type of honeys, right? You said that there's like the erotic honey.
Well, the erotic gummies.
Oh, gummies. Okay.
Yeah. We do have bigger sizes of these, and then there's some fun things that we're coming out with.
Oh, okay.
So I can't go too much into detail,
Gotcha.
but these are great. Like 1 stick.
Yeah.
You just feel great. 2 sticks is like, I'm really loving life. I recommend a stick and a half. If you've never done honey before and you're just wanting something that's like, hey, I like with this. So unlike ecstasy affects your dopamine levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it causes you afterwards, you might have a great time for a bit, but afterwards you're kind of like a sad panda.
Yeah.
Like this, so sad. Have you done it before?
Absolutely. I had a good 21st birthday in Vegas.
There you go.
And actually, I think one of our coworker, I think he was with us, and I'll tell you who it was afterwards.
Yes, I'm so excited to hear.
But
Spill the tea.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Because the drive home, it was a bummer ride home.
Oh, and that's the thing. So much often, like you go through these experiences and you're like, I love this feeling. Or even with people who drink, they go through and they love this feeling. They're having a great time. And then the next day they're like, ugh. Mm-hmm. You don't have that. It's literally... nature has like come up with the most amazing, fabulous thing.
So I'm really excited to use this before my workout. Some
people do.
I want to know how that would actually help during the workout. So I'm really interested in it. Being somebody that you weren't into this before.
Yes, I wasn't.
You weren't into it, and you look at some people that weren't into it, that's not educated on not only this, but like THC and medicinal different medicines, right?
Yeah.
Natural medicines, I guess you would say. They get scared about it.
They do. Well,
so how do you not get scared to put your name next to a product that so many people are intimidated by?
Absolutely. So I will tell you a little bit of history about myself. I have a sobriety date, and I used to party hard before I turned 21. And so for me, I always, for the longest time, was like, oh, nothing. Like I can't even have it set next to me. Like, oh my gosh. So when so my dad has post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD from Vietnam. And my dad, I've seen the different things that he's done therapy-wise, right? And then I have friends who are therapists, and I've heard the different things that they've been doing. And these different ways that guiding people through journeys with shrooms and other products, there's something to be said. We can't deny the research that's being done on marijuana and how it's benefiting people. I have friends who, their bodies will be really sore, and CBD, THC, like that's the only thing that helps with the body soreness. So I think kind of just having just the group of friends that I have and my parents, that kind of opened my eyes, seeing that maybe it's not the only solution to go out. And I'm not saying just medicinal reasons, but I'm saying like that's one of the big things that opened my eyes to it. Was like, maybe there's more than just what Western medicine is showing us.
Yeah.
And maybe I am too quick to judge. I think it's really easy. Like I'm super religious. I'm going to go teach church right after this. Mm-hmm. My husband's super, super religious. We come from very religious families. But I think there is a component, a component that's missing in our Western medicine, where we've forgotten and we've gotten really far away from these things that people would go out and collect herbs, right? They would just go pull them and make these different things that would be helpful. And we've gone so far to all these different synthetic pieces, and not that the synthetic things haven't been miraculous and wonderful, but sometimes there's something to be said. Not everything always works for every person. What works for me might not work for you and vice versa. And that's going to be the same thing with anything.
Yeah.
And so why would I withhold someone something that can make their life better? Why would I withhold that? Why would I personally say, well, I'm not okay with that? Or, I'm only okay with A, B, and C. For me, I look at it as when I saw that side of things, I was like, you know what? This is okay. And then I started looking at things too. And I think we live in a society, sometimes it's really easy to judge.
Yeah. Or be influenced.
Or be influenced.
I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, the political climate right now
absolutely.
it's sick, right? So I think being influenced by both sides, right? Good influence and bad influence, which is why I'm glad you're here to talk about it, because I look at somebody like you that you mentioned, you're very religious, but you stand by this product.
Yeah, I stand by it. Which
is great. And I think that if you are somebody that has been on the fence, maybe you have a problem being focused. Maybe you deal with attention disorder.
ADD. A lot of ADD people with mushrooms. My daughter has ADD and she's 18. I haven't given it to her just yet, but the second she turns 21, I'm going to be like, hey, I think you should try this.
Try it out.
And I think that they're finding that a lot of these natural things don't have the side effects as some of these others, right? And for me, as someone who used to drink, there are times in my life, I would be lying if I didn't say that there are times that I'm not like, oh my gosh, all this drama going on in my life. Like, oh, I could sure use a drink. Yeah. Or like checking for gray hairs in the morning because my kids, I'm like, I'm sure I'm going to get a gray hair now, right? There's times that we need our bodies to unwind and to relax. And there are times that I'm trying to do everything I can to relax and it's just not happening. It's just not happening. And so for me, I was like, you know what? We've had this product for a while. I've watched everybody try it and I'm going to go ahead and give it a go. Honestly, I was very skeptical. It did take me a while. And then when I tried it, I was like, this is amazing. Not where I'm going to go feel like, oh, I need it every day, which I think is a little bit different than some of these things. Like I think people automatically assume you're using honey. Oh, you're going to be addicted. You might like that euphoric feeling, but it's the same with anything. If you're using something to completely numb yourself out, there's probably something else going on.
It's a bigger problem.
Yeah, it's a bigger problem. But if you're using it to every now and again, just be able to get your body to literally unwind. It didn't make my problems go away. I didn't forget about them, but just to be able to take a deep breath and to be like, okay, maybe it's not 100% of my focus right now.
What are some of the challenges that you guys being part of the pioneer group in this industry here in Utah, what are some of the challenges you guys face?
I mean, obviously the education side of things, right? The education side of things, you do have the prejudice with people who are in different religions and that's not anything to say anything negative against them. Like, of course, we are all taught, like, you want to do things that are good, get things that are good into your body and not bad, right? But somewhere along the line, some of those lines have crossed. I shouldn't say somewhere along the line. It has crossed. And there's a point where we've stopped and we've said, okay, this is a hard no on this and a hard yes on this. And sometimes there are gray areas. And I hate when people are like, oh, you're a fence sitter on that. I don't know why in society we're forced. Why can't that be a path? Why do we have to choose one or the other? So I think there's a lot of customer education that comes with it that says this is what it is and this is how you do it. This is how you use it. It is different. It's not like where someone just like drinking. Like, oh yeah, everyone knows like you drink too much, you're going to get this. Or, there is a user education that's going to have to come with it where we're going to have to educate people. This is how it's used. This is what you do with it. And this is how it works. And everybody's body, again, processes things differently. And so on average, it takes anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour to kick in after you consume it. And then that feeling lasts anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours. Mine always lasts a little bit longer.
But you're petite too.
But I'm petite too, yeah. And like, when I have it, like I don't feel there's not a crash after. It's a very smooth ride. It's not like I'm on it and then I'm like, oh, no, I'm not on it. I'm like, I'm on it. And then I'm like, okay, maybe the colors aren't as bright and vivid. That's normally how I notice that it's kind of started to wear off, is that the colors aren't as bright anymore.
That's no fun.
Are you sick of podcasts that just interview people with the same questions and gossiping nonsense?
Are you tired of hearing about what's wrong with the world? Can you locate your nearest orphanage?
Who cooked the Last Supper?
R.I.P. Mr. Potato Head.
Seppuku Harakiri.
Where is Mavis Beacon?
This is Hos.
And this is host Beefy.
Listen to the Beans and Rice podcast.
Exclusively in Braille and all streaming platforms.
Patent pending.
No pukesters helping me to the left, and no pukesters helping me to the right. Didn't need them then, don't need them now. You are the ex-champion, Olin.
Now this is the way, Tony and David, that you do the figure 4 leg lock.
You love wrestling?
Do you believe that Stone Cold Steve Austin is the greatest entertainer of all time?
Or maybe that Shawn Michaels is the sexiest man alive?
Or did you have a thing for Sonny from the years of 1994 to 1996 like I did?
Did you know Yokozuna isn't even Japanese?
If you could count the number of dimples on Rikishi's ass, this podcast is for you.
Follow us, the Figure 4 Podcast on Instagram, at Figure 4 Podcast. And check us out on YouTube.
Do it.
Tell your punk ass friends about us.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, you're probably listening to the Unrestricted Podcast with Dre Rawka.
We are?
No, they are.
Yeah, oh, right.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the real Ruby. You can catch me and Fonzie and the Jim Defunk, G Daddy Funk on Lake Talk 801 Podcast.
Yeah, but I think you have to come in more smoother, more funnier. Like, yeah, they could catch us on the Lake Talk 801 Podcast.
Yeah, y'all can catch us on the Lake Talk 801.
Yeah, and be like, and yeah, man, hey, and they could catch people like me, the real Ruby, and people like you, Fonzie, and people like him, G Daddy Funk,
wow,
on
that's
the
a
Lake
lot
Talk
of people.
801. Who cares?
What did he say?
Huh?
I didn't hear him.
I don't know, but this probably should be the ad.
Are these on?
Catch a new episode every Monday on all streaming platforms. The Lake Talk 801. Tune in now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're still, but you're still not a sad panda over it, right? Yeah. Like it's not affecting my dopamine level. Yeah. It's just like, okay, like now it's not on anymore. And it's not this like huge dramatic thing. And I think breaking down those walls and saying, hey, there are certain things that are helpful to people. And so we're foster parents. Mm-hmm. And I had a mom one time and she was like, when she heard about the vape ban, she said, what am I going to do? It's either vaping or meth. And I was like, that's a huge vaping or meth. Like we're really two extremes of the spectrum right there, right? But I think a lot of times too, people think of this like, oh, it's this or this, or, and I think telling people like, hey, there are things that are out there that are okay. And it's okay to seek help with things. It's okay to want to let your hair down and be able to relax. And sometimes our bodies just are not made. So my daughter that has ADD, like we kind of explained when she was growing up, I kind of explained it to her in high school that like there's angry, like say that you go to a grocery store and there is the scales, right? And you put scales on there and there's like the angry apples and then there's the cool cucumbers. And maybe for some people, the angry apples, you have 50 of them naturally that are on the thing. And maybe you have two cool cucumbers. Like you have to balance it out, right? And is it her fault that she was born with more angry apples? No. Like she's pissed about it too, right? She's got those angry apples. But what do? You have to sometimes balance it out. And if the medicine helps her to balance it out, why would we withhold that? Mm-hmm. Why would we gatekeep that? That's so dumb.
Yeah.
That's so not kind. So we're telling people sometimes like, you're okay because you know how to relax on your own and you know how to do all this and you're okay to do it that way. And now, since you're okay to do that, I absolutely have to do it that same way. And what if it doesn't work for me? Well, sorry, it should work for you because it works for me. Like that's dumb. We're so unique. We're so different.
Exactly.
And this fills a void that's not, it's not normally there. Like
you talked about the challenge being education, right?
Yeah.
Does law make that hard?
Oh, yeah. So right now, honey's not regulated. It's not regulated in all the 50 states. So it is providing, I think a lot of companies right now, especially with the vape bans, the flavor bans on the vapes, they, and the THC, CBD gummies, all of those.
Real quick, I want to keep going on this thought, but you keep mentioning the vape flavor ban.
Oh, okay. So
are they no flavors no more?
So effective December 31st, Utah passed a ban that goes into effect December 31st. So the flavors will be no more. It's crazy the way that they passed the ban because Juul and a few of the other big cigarette companies are still able to sell some of their plain vapes through the gas stations. Isn't that funny? We're kind of a pay-to-play state. So it's a little bit different. That's getting like super political. But so they've passed this ban. So people who have the THC flavored vapes and other vapes, like it's as of December 31st, it's going to be no more. So I actually went and I participated in going and lobbying and having people sign things for against the vape ban. And this is one of the reasons why I signed for that and was okay to do it, especially where I'm at morally. I feel like when we are not transparent in our laws, and when we're not transparent in how we present different things, we as a society sometimes go in blindly. We're really quick to just read the top of a paragraph and assume that that's what something is. When they passed the vape ban, the way that they did it, they were able to advertise as a state. They advertised these things saying the vaping companies were going after these younger kids and all of these different things, right? Essentially making it like they were going after babies. I don't vape. I personally have had lung surgery. I don't think that vaping is healthy for you. That being said, I believe that there should be a choice. And with that, the vaping company wasn't trying to change anything. This was just something the state was like, hey, we're going to do this, right? So the vaping company wasn't going and asking for the ages to change or anything like that. So the vaping company wasn't even able to, the vapors weren't able to say, hey, no, there's different vapes that actually benefit people. There's different flavors that do this and this and this. Nothing, because anything they said would be advertising for vapes.
Wow.
Which is illegal. So you have this one-sided conversation that happens. So of course, if protect our children, right? Yeah. Like, absolutely. I'm a huge proponent. Like if someone gave my kid a vape, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
But I believe that as a society, we need to be educated when we make those decisions. We have to be smart about what we're choosing to teach our children. We have to be smart to tell them, like, not all laws are black and white. Just like not everyone who says they're a Republican is a Republican. Not everyone who says they're a Democrat is a Democrat. When you vote, you have to look into how those people are voting. You have to look into how those Democrats and Republicans are actually placing and see if you align with how they choose, right? So with this vape ban, they did it. It was very secretive. A lot of people thought it was representing something else. So for me, I stood behind it because you stand for something or you fall for anything. Absolutely. And if we are taking away people's choices, whether I agree with it or not, there's something to be said about us being able to have our own autonomy and being able to choose what we put into our body to an extent. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And if they had done it in a way, if they really cared about kids vaping, they really cared, they would have had Juul and the other big name tobacco companies not be able to sell theirs as well. But that's my personal opinion.
Absolutely. So what is the opinion that I think makes sense?
Yeah. And so I did my research on it and was like, this is crazy. No, I'm not about vaping, but like, how could we place, and then I started looking at other, and then it opens like a whole can of worms on political things that you're like, oh my gosh, I voted for this and this is what it actually did. But that's part of it. How often do we go when we read those things as a society, right?
Not often.
Yeah. So they have placed this ban. It goes into effect for Utah December 31st, a flavor ban. So you have these companies that are now in Utah that are going to be struggling. There are several vape shops that they are owned by families, great families that are here, and they sell and cater, vast majority to a lot of those. And so what we're providing as well by having the NuHoney and these shroom gummies is diversity in their their store inventory. When you diversify, it's like have you ever heard that saying? Don't put all of your eggs in one basket, right? And so it's the same thing. So these stores, helping them to diversify with other products that the rules and regulations aren't necessarily there for right now, or that they're easier on the rules and regulations, providing them something that they can introduce to their customers. In the meantime, like, hey, maybe we need to figure this out on the vape stuff, but we have another product that might do something similar for you. And if it's something that's maybe a healthier option, or, something that gives you that same feeling, you're going to be able to keep those businesses afloat. You have to, that's with any company. That's like business 101, right? You have to diversify, and you have to make sure that you go with the flow. This is an industry, an industry that ebb and flows. And so right now is the time, like I said, with education, it's newer. People are like, what is this NuHoney? And
that's why I was asking, like, if there's any challenges with laws in getting the word out about this thing, because I know that there's certain things as far as broadcasting goes, you can't really mention on the radio, on television.
We can talk about feelings, but technically, and so this is something I learned for the company that I worked with prior. Technically, anything, like if you're comparing something to caffeine and you're like, this is a great alternative to caffeine, or this is a great alternative to Adderall. If you're comparing, and I'm not saying that, but if you're comparing yourself to a drug, caffeine is considered one of the only legal drugs that you can get over the counter, right? And so if you're considering yourself as a drug, then the FDA becomes involved. And so a lot of the times you have to learn to talk about, this is what we feel. This is how it is for feelings. And you have to be very careful when you're advertising. There's age appropriateness, right? Under 21 and things like that, and meeting your demographic. And so you do have the struggles and the challenges. A lot of social media pages get shut down. A lot of people, you do get the people who have their prejudice that are like, this is no. And so they're automatically reporting, and the page could just be like, had a good time at a GloPop sponsored event, right?
Yeah.
And so you do have that. So that's why we love the fact that you are willing to be open and invite us on to like share about it, because people just don't.
My audience loves this. My audience, I believe, is very open-minded.
Yeah.
So when just looking at the box alone, it clearly says adults 21 and above.
Yeah.
Like it's clearly, this is for adults, right? So, but I also, it hurts me that it's so hard to just be like, this is who we are.
Yeah.
Without having to worry about, is Susan down the street going to report us,
Well, and I have had some friends that I've had a few of my kids' parents or my kids' friends' parents call me, and one of them was like, I heard you're dealing drugs. Like, what's the deal? And I'm like, no, like I can see where that could be. And it's just one of those things. Like, I think some of that is in our society, local society, and that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. And I'm happy to be like, no, I'm not a drug pusher. That being said, I get it. And it is hard for me to see different people who don't understand it. But that's why it's so important for people who do thoroughly understand it and who have done their research. I think that a lot of times it's easy for people to just assume, they're a drug pusher, or, they do this, and they're not educated with it. But it's like guys like Nate and like Alex, you've met Alex so many times, that really have been educated. They know their stuff. They know these natural things that are just fabulous. And I think when you know all about the different THCs, CBDs, and you know about the shrooms and the different ingredients, and you actually study and learn, it's easier to defend something when you know about it. And that's with me. I'm like, I can't sell something, like I said, that I don't stand behind. And I stand behind it because I've researched it. If you go on and you look up Mad Honey on any of the YouTube channel, like Mad Honey's everywhere, and you'll see him climb off the cliffs of Nepal. It's so crazy too. Have you watched how they harvested it?
I'm gonna go watch it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this, I started saying part of the story. So the honey that this bee makes it actually puts the combs on these cliff sides. And the people have to climb over, the shamans and them climb down these little rope ladders on the cliff sides to harvest it. It's crazy.
How do you find that though? Like, at what point are you like, hey, there's this honeycomb on the side of the cliff.
Right?
Let's go get that. And
Let's go climb it.
Let's try it.
Let's risk our life and climb over a cliff. It's so funny because if I start thinking about it too deep, I'm like, how many things in this world are there that we're like, how did that come about? Even the stupid wheel. I'm like, somebody just one day was like, I wonder if I were to make this a circle, if it would just roll.
I think about things all the time like that. Like, I still don't get octopuses. Like, they can be translucent. They can change into anything.
And they can fit into like a thing the size of my pinky. I'm like, how this ginormous thing into so itty bitty, right?
Yeah, I always just space out and think about that.
Deep thoughts, and we're not even on anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, imagine.
Yeah. You did mention that it is not regulated. Now, to somebody...
Yeah, because it's honey. It's honey. But that's what's so cool. So that with Nate, he cares about his products. That's the thing when you're buying from legit businesses, right? And this is what's going to... I always say CBD, as an example, marijuana. When you're going to the dispensaries, when you're going to places that are legit shops, legit stores, you're able to tell, like, they're not going to make money unless you're coming back, right? And so those companies are doing the research. It's going to be a lot different than a street drug. If you're saying, hey, like, I'm going to go get THC on the street. Okay, great. But you're not going to be able to tell, like, what's in it, what's not. Like, you're not going to know that. But that's the thing, that we have a responsibility that we take very seriously. That if somebody is going to purchase our product, we're going to stand behind it. And it's going to be something that's made in a place that is not just someone's backyard or mom's kitchen. Not to say that there's anything wrong with mama's kitchen. Yeah. My mom makes great stuff in her kitchen, but she's not making anything like this. But there's sanitary things that come into play. There's regulations that we do to ourselves that, the state might necessarily not regulate it right now because it's honey. It's literally nature's high. It's nature's buzz. It's natural.
I think that having that word of non-regulated can scare some people, though.
Yeah, it can. And I think the non-regulated, it scares some people because they're not familiar with, and like I tell you, because a lot of people in the industry are like, all these different things are regulated so heavily and the regulations are changing. I use more of the non-regulated, like, it's right now, there's not a problem selling it. There's not a problem for people to use it. There's nothing that the state has come in and said, hey, this isn't okay. There's nothing, the grayotoxins that are in it are from the plant. Like, it's literally from the plant. Like, it's just...
But the plant's also poisonous, though.
The plant's poisonous in that form. But the pollen that it takes and puts into the honey when it converts it into the honey, that byproduct, is not poisonous. So that's what's cool, is it's made something, like, there's a lot of other different things that are out there that, if you think about it in their set state, are bad. But then when you have them, once it's been processed, you're like, okay, this is great. And so with the honey, like, they take it and they make an extract of it. Normally you'd have to consume a lot of the honey to, like, have it. But, like, this is like one stick is one serving size.
I see one.
Yeah.
You know, Alex actually gave me one of these when you guys first got them. And I think I still have one in my desk. How much is in here?
It's just a little bit, little baby size.
7 milliliters.
That's all it is. And that's one serving size.
Yeah.
One serving size. I say sweet spot for most people is like 1.5. One is like when I went on a hike, like 1.5. You might sometimes get a little bit of like tracers, 1.5, 2, and when I say tracers, it's not like the psychedelic where it's like things are melting, but where like, just almost like, not sparkly, but like
shimmer.
Yeah, almost like a little shimmer that I'm like, oh.
You know what's funny?
What?
You're now a highlighter.
I am a highlighter. Do you see this? I'm like the highlighter that threw up all over myself.
That you're part of the highlight crew.
And I totally wouldn't have it any other way.
That's so
it's
cool.
so great. I actually had a lot of neon before I started working with him. And so I fit in.
Yeah.
It's meant to be.
You guys have the most beautiful display. When GloPop comes to the Fierce Fighting Championship, at the Maverick Center, and you have your big display and the big banners. I'm like, man, this place is like, it's so beautiful. It looks really good. You guys do a great job.
Very clean. Yeah, very well.
The logo just looks
That's
really
what I was
dope.
going to say. The logo is very well done. Yeah. Like, they're legit. They're legit business. They're amazing.
How is, in an industry that I'm assuming is kind of smaller.
Yeah.
How do you guys work with other competitors? Like, is it nasty? You guys get nasty? Is it supportive?
Oh, they're okay. So I think opinions might vary depending on who you ask that to, but I'm somebody, I love everybody. And like, I love making friends. So I feel like, honestly, with the NuHoney, like we were one of the ones that brought it to market, the Mad Honey to market. And so for us, I don't want to say that we don't have any competitors, because we do. But I always like to say we were number one. Like, right? But I like making friends. And again, in this industry, I think that's what it's all about. I think there are a lot of people, we worry, again, not to go societal, but people, you've heard the saying, like, with other women, they'll knock off each other's crown. And I'm like, let's adjust each other's crown. Like, if you succeed, we succeed. And yeah, there's going to be times that I'm like, oh man, I wish I got that sale. And, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, it's introducing somebody. Yeah, it might not necessarily be our product because maybe they've offered it ridiculous and it's not like the thing. I don't necessarily think we need to go in as like the Walmart of the products or the Nordstroms of the products. I want us to be affordable and have great value. And we do. We do that, right? And we do what we do well. And we have a product that not a lot of people can go and say, hey, I stand behind a product 100%. Neither of them have a deal with their different distributors and buyers that if you buy the product and it doesn't move or it doesn't sell, a lot of times the only reason why it's not moving is because the customers need to be introduced to it. So sometimes we'll send out samples that they can sample out. Once people start trying it, then they're like, I love this. I love this. But I think it can be competitive. I know when I first got into it, I was like, oh my gosh, a little intimidated, especially being a female in the industry. But they are all everyone's just so warm and inviting in general. And I mean, if you're going to have an industry to hang out in, everyone's pretty laid back.
Yeah.
Everyone's pretty laid back. You do get those people that are a little bit more cutthroat, and you do get people sometimes that and that's with any industry, right? You're going to get those people who are just out for number one. But I think in this industry where we do stand out, and the people that he has working for him, like every single one, we have a sales guy named Young. He is hands down one of the best people I've ever met. He and his wife Trank sometimes come and work with us, and Nate surrounded himself by good people. And I think that's transpired, that's gone over into the other people that we interact with, the other companies that we interact with. And a lot of times, if we don't have a product that they carry and one of our customers comes and they're like, hey, I'm also looking to fill this niche. I'm like, here. I love road trip gummies. Like, I love road trip gummies. They're fabulous. We're friends with the Chapo folks. And I'm like, I love Chapo's. Chapo has a disco. Like, there's all these different products that are out there that are also fabulous. And if my customers, again, the store owners, are able to get products into their stores that sell, they're going to be more likely to continue. They can't carry my product if they don't have a store, right?
Yeah.
And so if I can get them in, and if I can recommend products that are fabulous as well, like I said, we want people to go in and be like, these are great products. And this whole store has great products. And I think if we can recommend those, it's great. It's a good thing to do. But I know not everybody's the same way.
Yeah.
People can be cutthroat. And I always tease it. I'm like, I will cut you. Like, I like to say it like all serious, like, I will cut you.
No, her eyes say otherwise. Like you a feisty one. I could
Yeah,
tell.
yeah. I'm like tiny but mighty. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
That's right.
But that's the thing. And so I think any industry can be cutthroat.
Yeah. I hate business, man.
Yeah.
I hate business. I love this portion. I love creating. I love thinking outside the box.
Absolutely.
And and that's partly probably why I'm not as big as I could be, is because I hate the business part of it. And it's just me. I'm a one-man band. But I also understand the importance of business if you want to grow.
Absolutely.
When was GloPop established?
GloPop was established a few years ago. And
Okay.
so
Super
they've
young.
had they've had different, super young, they've had different companies, but Nate has been in the industry for 20 some odd years. Like he's not new to this industry.
Yeah.
And he's started other companies and he's, sold them off, and he's had a vape store down in, I believe it was Murray. Like this isn't new to him. He is what I would consider a veteran in the industry.
Yeah.
And so incredibly knowledgeable. He is so smart. Like,
And a great guy.
he's a great guy. And he and his wife Sydney too, is just like, she is like Barbie to me. Like she just is, when you're just like, she's just so sweet and so kind, and just like, I just love her. But they just are like the salt of the earth people, and have been so kind and so fun to work with. But they really do. They care about what they're putting out there, and they care. I think sometimes people get into things and they're like, I don't care what it does to other people as long as it's making me money.
Yeah.
Well, they're not like that. They're like, no, I do care what it does to other people. Like I care what it does. And that's why we say like, yeah, could you go and take 50 of these? Sure, you could. Serving size is 1. We're going to recommend 1. And we're going to recommend you doing what you feel. Try 1 and then work your way up. If you feel like, it's just like on the back of our shroom packages, where it says 1 is like functional, right? Very functional. Like you've heard about functional shrooms, very functional. You're going to get stuff done. I'm going to do my laundry.
Yeah.
2, I'm going to have a little bit more fun while doing my laundry.
Yeah.
3, my laundry's sparkling, right? Like, like it's, and it tells you, and that's the thing. He cares about people. He cares about people, and he cares about products, and he doesn't, the bottom line is great. Everybody's out to be a business person. Like you said, the money is nice, but I think that comes eventually when you're building this repertoire with people and you're really showing your heart. Sometimes it is competitive where people don't necessarily care about that. But then I'm like, at the end of the day, I had someone say to me, this was years ago, I had a situation with some people that weren't very kind, but I was trying to people please them. Totally people please them. And I just really, I'm like, I just don't understand. They just don't like me. Yeah. I'm one of those that I'm like, I get along with everybody. Like, why can't we be best friends?
Excuse my language, Trish, but sometimes you just got to say, fuck them.
Well, and you do have to say it, right? Well, so I was told, why would you want to be friends with them? They're assholes.
Yeah.
Why would you care what they think? Would you hang out with them any other reason?
No.
And I was like, no, absolutely not, right? So why do I care so much? And I think growing up, I've always been raised, leave people in a better spot than where you first came when you met them, right? Yeah. And so that's the same thing. And so
it's not a bad trait. Everything that you're saying is all
right. But
it
can be. It can be. It can be.
Yeah. I mean, there's snakes in the grass everywhere, right?
Right.
Like
right.
You can't move walking through the grass and worry if you're going to get bit. Like you just got to walk through that damn grass,
Right.
So, I mean, obviously GloPop is young, but with a lot of experience.
So much experience.
What do we got going on in 2025? What should we expect? And,
new products.
Okay. This wasn't asked. The name GloPop. Will we get a pop?
I don't know.
Energy drink.
I don't know. I can't give. That's like me showing you all my cards.
Yeah, I know.
When we stay, that's one of the reasons why we stay on top of it, right?
Yeah.
Like we are innovative. We're constantly moving and changing and growing and seeing what the next big thing is. So Nate currently is working on some fabulous things.
Well, Nate, I want an energy drink, some type of beverage,
right?
So I can have it here while I'm podcasting.
You know what? So there's actually a company. So I talked about mixing and mingling, meeting companies. So Nate and I just had the opportunity to go down to Arizona and talk with one of our vendors. And while we were there is a company called Waze. I don't necessarily represent them or anything, but met them, tried them. I love energy drinks. Like I love them. I consider myself an energy drink connoisseur.
Yeah.
Through swig and fizz. And I also will like take my
so
Monster
Utah.
drinks.
You're such
I'm
a Utah
so
mom.
Utah. I totally, my Stanley cup, I double fist the two. I do like a watermelon Monster and the coconut mixed berry Red Bull. Have you tried those?
Sheesh, yeah.
I'll
but
pour them
damn.
both in like 3 times or 2 times to fill it. And then, oh, it's so great.
Trish, your little heart's gonna...
Right? Like, and then I go to bed at night, just
Yeah.
fine. But that's the thing. Like, I consider myself an energy drink connoisseur. So we were at this place, this vendor, and they had all of these drinks. I was seeing them all over everybody's desk, and it said Ways, WAYS. And I said, what is that? And the guy's like, it's an energy drink. And me, I'm like, that I haven't heard of? Yeah. Okay. What kind of energy drink? Well, there is this company, and it's founded by veterans of not just armed forces, but they also do, there's police vets, I believe, firefighter vets. And then some that are currently still serving, first responders, a lot of first responders. And they have started this company called Ways, WAYS. And they have 4 or 5 different flavors, but the white one's my favorite.
What's wrong with the black one?
There's not a black one. They left that one out.
Damn.
But I'm going to have to tell them now.
Yeah, for real.
I'm going to tell them.
Dre said
They
we
have
need
green and red and white. Then we need representation.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? I'll tell him. I'll be like, hey, listen to this podcast. He says you need representation.
But the white one's your favorite.
The white one is my favorite. But the cool thing about this product, I mean, they are really, really good. It's like really good. They have like an orange-sickle one. But the cool thing about it is that they give 10%. It's like a church, right? 10% of all of their profits back to nonprofit agents. Gary Neeson, do you know Gary Neeson, the actor? He has a nonprofit organization for, it's like vets and things like that. But they give back, and each drink represents a different, and again, I don't work for them, but represents like the fire department or represents different first responders and they give 10% back to these different charities. There's different charities that they work with and that they give the percentage back to, but they do 10%.
Is and I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
is GloPop involved in the community?
So we're involved in that. Oh, yes. In like helping people, helping out
in our
all
community.
the time. So Nate, like he's great for like donating products and things like that. He also goes, there's so many different charitable organizations that he goes and helps with. He's always going and doing these charity events that they'll donate to as well. So they definitely give back to the community. He's big on that. They like to help if they hear different families are in need, and they're not necessarily doing it. The thing that I like too is they're more quiet about it. Yeah. I think there's something to be said when organizations are all, look at me. The way that Nate and them do it is very... It's more quiet, it's more subtle, but he helps. They donate to the schools, they donate to different things everywhere. He's really great. And when anyone in the company is like struggling, I know he's personally gone and helped out with ways for people. So he does. He's always helping out in the community.
And GloPop, it's a product for Utah by Utah, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is I'm always about supporting local, especially local businesses. So definitely go check them out.
Yes, we love it.
Try the product out. Where can we find the products?
GloPop.com. You can GloPop.com, and then also there's we're across nationwide, different smoke shops, different gas stations for some of the things. But yeah,
is there an issue with shipping? Like no. So you can ship anywhere within.
We can ship anywhere within the United States. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, GloPop.com though, you'll see all the things on there, and stay tuned because we roll out new products coming up. Like there's new things in the works that I'm so excited about. And we did have some products that just recently launched, but I don't have all the papers and things for them right now, but we just launched them this last week at this show that I was at. They're called Little MFers.
What is it?
It is pressed shrooms in a tablet, and they taste like a Smartie.
Really?
But they're phenomenal too. But yeah, they're not on our website just yet.
Why don't you
We're
bring
just
those?
launching those. we gave all of our samples out.
Okay.
Like that's how popular they were, that people just kept coming back. And that's the same thing with the honey.
Mm-hmm.
People will try them at the shows. I always say, I love when people try things, right? I think you can't really necessarily sell something. You can't trust a salesman who hasn't tried the things that they're selling,
Exactly.
right? And so I always tell people, they'll come around and I'm like, we have a little squeezy of the honey.
Yeah.
We'll squeeze on these little teeny tiny like ice cream scoops and give it to people, and they'll try it, and then they'll come back and they're like, oh my gosh, I love it. And then they put in orders. So we gave some for people to go and try that night, like at the night of each show, and people came back the next day and they're like, I love it, I want it. So we're always coming up with the new things. Nate's always coming up with the new way to do things. He's always staying on the edge of the industry, and it's cool. So stay tuned. We've got lots and lots of fun things.
What's the social media?
So social media, GloPop. It's glopop.com as well, like GloPop on Instagram.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those things, I believe right now the page is set to private. Advertising can also be a little tricky. And we talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So we do have a GloPop page though that we're working on and trying to decide and see maneuvering wise how to do it.
I wish it wasn't hard to do that.
Well, and it's hard too because you don't necessarily, I mean, you've got TikTok, right?
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram, like those things, it's hard to really say, okay, this isn't going to go to anybody under the age of 18 or this isn't going to go to anybody out of this. But so, and especially where we have products that are so cool that really could be useful to people that are just like me, moms in minivans.
Yep.
And then people who go and they're like, hey, I'm on the hard party scene, like the extreme opposite sides of the spectrum. It's really cool. And so getting in and finding your niche in the advertising as well is a little tricky. And doing it in a way that we're not saying, hey, look, we're pushing drugs or we're pushing this, you know?
Yeah, man.
It is hard, but we would love anyone to come check us out. And if you have any questions, shoot us a message. Let us know. Like, we're happy to help anytime.
I feel like you guys are always at like, I don't even know if a trade show is the right word.
Yeah, we're always at trade shows. We're always out. We're always out. Nate's always at sporting events, the fierce fighting. And okay, so you were telling me too, tell me a little bit. So you go and you DJ at them, right?
Yeah. So I've been DJing for Fierce. I mean, since Zach took over, I think it was 21, 22, maybe 21, 22.
And you were fabulous. I was there.
Thank you.
So fabulous. I was actually making comment about it. I'm like, this music is where it's at.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a great time. And GloPop is all over Fierce, right? It's on the gloves. It's on the shirts. Do you guys have merch? Are you guys doing t-shirts and stuff?
You know what? So we do have merch that we give out. And if you're lucky enough, you can get some. Yeah. We'll give you some. We'll get for you. I can arrange it.
Are you guys pulling up a tent on the 8th?
You know what? We are.
Okay.
So we're doing a tent on the 8th. So November 8th is Fierce Fighting Fight. And then afterwards is a rave that's being sponsored by GloPop. And so, yeah, we're going to pull up a tent. We'll have the products there. And maybe if you're lucky, our little MFers will be there as well.
Hell yeah.
But we'll have the honey for sure. For sure. The honey will be there. And so will some of our other products. So it'll be great. It'll be a good time.
You guys should get a mascot. You guys should get a bee.
We have a mascot. It's right here.
Oh my gosh. Well, what you should get is a little bee that walks with you.
Okay, so I have to tell you. So Nate sent me these pictures of these two bee things, right? These two, because we do this event in Vegas and it's really huge. And they were gonna have these models wear these bee costumes. And he was joking. He's like, "You're gonna wear one of these," and I was like, "Oh no, I'm not. Like I'm a mom. Like you put me in that. Like I'm gonna have to have a mask over my face. Like you're not gonna want to see that in that. Like, but he had these two options." So it could happen. You could see someone in a bee. It's not going to be me though. It's not going to be me. They're so fun. And we've talked about doing the bee. I think with the bee would be great for just the mascot for the buzz, right?
Yeah.
But we have talked about it. And he has sent some. And I told him his wife Sid should wear one. And I'm like, Sid, you need to wear one. Because you have to see them. Now that we just talked about it, I'll have to show them to you because they were like, oh, okay.
You could be the queen bee.
I am the queen bee. We have all the bees. We have the queen bee, the worker bee, the honey bee. All of them.
My kids love the Bee
Busy
movie.
Bee. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
I'm not a Seinfeld guy, but that movie's good.
He's pretty great in there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never watched the Seinfeld show. It's too dry of comedy for me.
Yeah.
But the Bee movie, I think it's because my kids, right? They're like converted me.
How old are your kids?
So I have an 11-year-old, a 6-year-old, and about to be 4-year-old.
Oh, those are the best ages.
I got
So
2 boys
fun.
and a girl, and the girl's the baby, and she runs the house.
She does. I'm sure of it.
Oh, she's so feisty.
Yeah.
Like she's tiny. She's petite little thing. She's about to be 4 on the 7th, but she looks like she's 2. Like she's tiny.
So cute.
Y'all, she's the sweetest. But she puts it on her brothers.
Yeah. So I have 2 girls and a boy. My oldest is 19. She's a sophomore at UVU. And then I have a senior just here in town in Woods Cross.
Nice.
And then I have an 8th grader. And he is like stuck with all of us girls. Like it's one of those things, right?
Just him and his dad, huh?
Just him and his dad. We have a girl dog too. She's just a little princess too. And so I know how it goes. Like those girls, they're princesses.
Do you dress your dog up?
Okay, so listen, in my defense, she's really little. She gets cold. She gets a little chilly. Her name is Paisley.
Oh my gosh, and her name's Paisley.
And Paisley, and she sometimes like she needs a sweater.
Trish.
She does. Like she goes outside in the wintertime when it gets cold.
Yeah.
She'll go out there and she like touches the grass. She's like, no. If there's snow, she like will touch it and then she's like, you want me to put my butt in that? She's like, it's cold. She doesn't like to go for walks because she's a princess.
So you carry her?
My husband does.
Oh my gosh.
And so this is funny too because she has these like jackets that are like leopard print jackets, and then she also has like these pink things.
And you match her.
There have been times, I'm not gonna lie, we have matching pajamas. Like when we got family pajamas for Christmas one year, like she had matching pajamas and I put a little matching bow in her hair. But she is so stinking cute. But my husband, he's like, I'm in, hear me roar, right? So he's like, she's not going out in that. No. So she'll take it off and she'll come back and she's like, she's so cold.
Dad made me freeze.
Because she has this, it's like a little leopard coat and it has red satin in the inside and it's fluffy out, and she'll have that on before she goes out, and then she comes in and she's like, he calls her name. He's like, Paisley, and she tucks her tail. She's like so scared. And like for me, she's like right up there, like always cuddling, but she likes to get dressed.
Your husband has his hands full.
He does. And with our oldest too, oh my gosh. So my girls are just stunning, like stunning, beautiful girls. I know everybody says that, right? And I'm partial because I'm their mama, but I just think they're so beautiful, but they both are just the sweetest girls. He has his hands full for sure. And so does their little brother has his hands full with him as well. Like it's crazy, but
well, Trish, I think you are a great interview.
Thank you. It was really so fun to be here. Thanks for having me.
You do this very well.
Thank you.
And I think we should start a podcast for GloPop, and you should be the host.
I would do it. I would do it. Only if I go like this though, because you seem to drop it like it's hot. If
what?
I'm like, oh, hello.
We're just here.
I mean, I feel like with your voice, like you have a very much like that's why you're so successful too, is because that voice.
I got a good voice.
You got a good voice.
I got a voice for radio.
I mean, you got more than just the voice. You got the face for it too, right? The voice, because it's a podcast. That came out wrong. Podcast is the face and the voice. Yeah. You've got it all. You're the package. But like, I feel like I have to be like, oh, hello, the whole time. Like, welcome to our podcast. Welcome with DJ Dre.
If we were to do the GloPop podcast, how would you want to do it? What would your show be?
My show I would have people come on and have honey, and then we would talk.
Are you going to pull
just
different
about their
topics
life?
Or like?
Yes. I actually, something that I love doing on a regular basis is just finding out what makes people tick, or what they're currently, something currently going on in their life, or something they're currently excited about. Mm-hmm. I love just going up to people and being like, tell me something that's exciting. I went to New York this last year, and I had the chance to just go on the streets. That sounds weird. But like just go explore by myself. And I like to go into places and ask people, like random bookshops or random vinyl record shops. Like I don't even have vinyl records. I think they're so amazing and so cool, but I don't have a thing. But I love going and asking people, what book are you reading right now? And tell me what book, why do you like it? And I have picked up some of the most interesting books that I never would have picked up on my own.
Yeah.
I picked up a book about reggae and the history of reggae. I've picked up random cookbook. I've picked up these things. There's one called Code Red, I think it is. And it's an accounting book. Things like that you normally wouldn't, but finding out what people are currently reading and doing and learning or something fun that excites them. I think I would just talk about life. I would talk to them and I'd say, what makes you tick? How does this make you feel through it? And bring up the GloPop, but at the same time, deep down, everyone just wants to have their voice be heard.
Yeah.
And I love hearing about people.
We need to
I just
start.
love it.
We need to get you more in media. And I don't know what you're doing media wise right now.
Yeah.
But I think right here, right now. But I think you have a cool future in media, I think.
Thank
just
you.
that idea right there, you not being scared to talk to people, that's half the battle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being willing to talk to people, you can create a cool piece of content just from that.
Yeah.
Sponsored by GloPop.
Sponsored by us. There you go.
But for real, I think explore it. Explore it. Think about when you leave here,
Sure, you're going to come be on the show if I do it?
Yeah, we could do something cool. I could produce it.
We could play rock, paper, scissors or something fun.
What happens to the loser?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. I just got as far as the game. Now you're going to have to think of what the loser has happened to
10
them.
push-ups.
Oh, I don't know. That's pushing it. 20.
I can't do 20.
I can't do 20 either. I probably did. We'll start slow. It'll turn into a workout thing if that's the case.
Winner keeps Paisley.
Oh,
you give up your dog.
I would cut you if you took my dog. I would cut you. We'll figure it out.
You can have one of my.
Do you have dogs too?
No, but you have one of my kids. How about
that? Nice. You're which one's on my nerves today?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Typically the baby girl.
I'm
just playing.
We'll take her.
Do your kids know that Paisley is your favorite?
I mean, I would be lying if I said no. They didn't know.
How do they feel about mom
the
being
industry? A drug dealer?
No.
No.
How do the kids in the family feel about mom stepping into the camera back into the media space?
So my kids they've actually come on to set with me. So when they were younger, they would be cast in certain things with me as my own kid. So I think they've kind of just grown up with it. I think sometimes they think it's really cool. I've never got into it. You know how some people get into things wanting to chase fame, right? For me, I've never been I want to do this because I want to be famous. I'm realistic about who I am. And I always say, my looks are a 5, but my personality makes me a 10, right? I have always tried to tell them there's more to being in this industry, the modeling industry and the acting industry than looks. There's more to it than that. It's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of no's. And so I think they've always seen it. I've always been really open and honest. My kids have helped me. There's been times when I needed a person to read. When you're doing an audition, sometimes you'll need someone to read with. So you'll need them to be the opposite part. So my kids, once they learned how to read, I would sometimes have them read. There were times they'd help me out with that and do the other voices. So I think they've just kind of grown up around it. And there's times that they think it's really cool. I did this thing years and years ago for Clash of Clans. It has I want to say 60 million views or something ridiculous like that. I was the Archer Queen. And it was crazy. Out of all the things I've done, probably that was one of the ones that I was most recognized for. So I would be in public for a little bit, and gamers that had watched this Clash of Clans fake movie trailer or whatever would come up to me and say things, which is weird because in part of it, I'm wearing a pink wig. I open it up and I do a shot, I shoot a bow and arrow. That's how I got cast, because I can shoot a bow and arrow.
Did you have to practice?
Yep. Nope. I just got there and shot it. And, but so I can shoot a bow and arrow. And so I had a pink wig on for that, and I'm dressed like an archer. Have you ever played Clash of Clans?
No, I've seen the mobile game.
Yeah, I had never played. My little brother, who's 2 years, so I'll be 44 this year. My little brother is 2 years younger than me, and this was 8 years ago when I did it. he called me on the way home from this shoot and he was like, hey, what'd you do today? And I was like, oh, I just was at a shoot today. I don't know, it was some sort of like Clash of Clans thingy, but I was dressed up and I was this archer and an archer queen. And he's like, shut up. And I was like, what do you mean? Why? And he's like, do you seriously not know? And I was like, no. He goes, it's huge. This isn't hap, blah, 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 and went off. And I was like, oh, cool. Didn't think much of it. And then when it came out, we were in the grocery store and my kids were with me. And I had this guy so weird at the Centerville Target following me around the store. And I was like, what is going on? And it was noticeable enough that security came over and we're like, are you okay for a second? Anyways, shortest version is the guy came and got in line behind me and security came to the edge of the line. And the guy's like, I know you. And I was like, I'm really good with remembering people. I'm sorry, have we met? And he's like, no, but I know you. And I was like, oh, okay. And at the time I had done also some commercials. I was doing Maverick stuff and I had done some commercials for IHC. I had done some things for like, there was like an eye company, like a eye surgeon, something that I had done. There were a few, OK.com, and it was like in the Megaplex. There were a few different commercials that I had that were going at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was on a lot of billboards in Utah and I thought maybe that was it. But he's like, out of all the things, he's like, no, I know you. You're the Archer Queen. And I was like, gosh. So weird. So the Archer Queen, they did my eyes purple in the thing and I'm wearing a purple long wig. And at the time, this is crazy, but I had a freckle that I had like shortly after it had to be removed. Just because they were like, skin, they thought it could be skin cancer or something.
Gotcha.
Anyways, and so he was like, did they put that freckle on you during the filming? I'm like, how close were these people watching this stuff? So it's so crazy. So my kids thought that was super cool. And in elementary school, they were like, my mom's the Archer Queen. Yep, that's my mom, or my mom's on a pump, you know? And every now and again, I'm like, okay, that just makes me giggle. Sometimes it would make me feel a little awkward. I have ladies that are, I think when I meet other women, sometimes women, and even guys too, people are like, oh, what do you do? And a lot of times I won't necessarily tell them like I do acting and modeling, because people have this assumption like I do a lot of lifestyle things. I do a ton of things that are just, well, you probably do it too, where you go in and you're like, hey, I'm just going to be a spokes for this company. Yeah. So you're doing a spoke read. I've done things for OSHA, like things that are not necessarily like, hey, happy-go-lucky, but things that are a need, things that are there. You represent companies and you'll go and you'll do in-house projects. There's a lot of work that goes with it. So I book pretty consistently when I am doing it. But they would always think it was cool. And for mom, like it's fun, but sometimes I'm very outgoing and I love doing things I do. But I think there's a lot of scrutiny that comes with that. So people are like, oh, she models. Like, and so then sometimes I don't get ready and I'm throwing my hair in a messy bun and I like to wear sweats. I like to wear sweats all the time and I like a cheeseburger and I'm not always toned. And I think that sometimes there are people that are like, oh, well, she does modeling. And so like criticizes a little bit or, you know? And so for me, like I have always tried to make it a point with my kids. Like there's so much more than how we look and other people's opinions. I mean, it's not you. I'm sure you've seen it. Like people can be harsh and criticize the way you look or the way you act or things like that.
That's when I was like, that's why I say like, fuck them, because you can't make everybody happy.
You can't, but it's so hard. It's so much easier to say than to do it, right? It's easier said than done because everybody wants to be loved and liked and respected. And I think it's just learning, like when we really know our self-worth and our values. I think once I started coming into my 40s and really being like, I am of worth regardless of what anyone else thinks.
Bingo.
Yeah.
I learned that early in my 30s.
You did.
Is that we can't make everybody happy.
Yeah.
And you have to wake up with yourself every day.
Absolutely.
So if you wake up with yourself every day, you don't feel right about a certain situation.
Yeah.
You have to eat that, right?
Absolutely.
But if you go through life and you live the way that you want to be treated, right? Very elementary, right? Then you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be in a good place, you know?
Yeah.
I working in radio, I do this thing every Tuesday where I bring on local artists. I interview them and I play their music, right? And there are times where people will be like, why you have this person on? This person's doing more. And it's like, but if I didn't have that person on, they would say, oh, you guys don't support locals, right? So I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't.
Yeah.
So what I do is I'm like, the person, I know where my heart's at.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to continue to do that. There might be a person to be like, why don't he have this company on?
Yeah.
And it's like, I just haven't got to that point in my life yet, you know? But he'll be like, oh, well then why do you got them on but not this person? You know, it's like, whatever, dude. Like, you guys live your life over here.
Right.
I'm doing this thing over here. If you want to come onto this train and be over here, then let's do it. If you don't, cool.
Is it the Dre train?
Yeah, it's the we train.
The we train. Do you remember, are you old enough to have the kids back in like, God, when my oldest was little, Disney had it was all aboard the choo-choo train, all aboard the choo-choo train, all aboard the choo-choo train, all aboard choo-choo. And she's all choo-choo soul with Genevieve. You could be like choo-choo soul with Dre. You're welcome.
Thank you. You just gave me the whole theme song.
I just gave it to you. Yeah.
All right, Trish, man, we're coming up on an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's let you go.
Let's hit socials and website
Socials,
one more time.
GloPop.com on both. You'll look up GloPop on social media. We're there as well on Instagram and so
a smoke shop nearby you.
Smoke shop. There's lots of smoke shops all over Utah that carry our products, and we're getting a lot of distros that are carrying our products. So it'll be in more smoke shops around nationwide.
Are you guys allowed to do the THC in Utah?
Okay, so we can. We just have to reduce the amount of THC in the gummies that we currently offer. So so things are changing. Utah's rules and regulations have changed a little bit. So we do have a product with that we're effectively not supposed to be promoting right now until we've got to make some adjustments.
Okay.
So, but it'll be good. Don't worry.
Obviously, new products in 2025.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Yeah, big things are coming in.
Yeah.
If you want to come see her and the rest of the crew, November 8th at the Masonic Temple, downtown Salt Lake City, Fierce Fighting Championship. Go on to fiercefightingchampionship.com. Get your tickets. It's going to be a great night. Huge fights. My man Jerome Hatch is fighting. Yes. A lot of guys are fighting on this one.
And you're going to be our DJ.
And I'll be the DJ.
I mean, you have to come. He's going to be our DJ.
It's going to be a lot of fun. The venue is beautiful. There's not going to be a bad seat in the house. So definitely, it's a smaller venue. It's more intimate. Yeah. So definitely get your tickets because it will sell out. fiercefightingchampionship.com. How do you feel? You feel like we hit everything? Was there anything that we missed?
I feel fabulous. I feel like we're best friends for forever now.
Got you.
Right?
Yes. I really do appreciate your time, and thank you for coming. If you want to support this channel, make sure you go on to allrock.com, ALLRAWK.com. You can make a monetary donation by grabbing a hoodie, a t-shirt. If it's tough, maybe you can't financially do it, just share the episode. Share it with a friend, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's free to show love. Y'all have the day you deserve. Always protect your light. We're out. Peace.
Okay.
Have you done a podcast before?
I haven't done podcast, but I've done radio.
Oh, you've done radio? Which station?
So I did things I used to be one of the faces of Maverick.
Oh, really?
Years ago. I was Summer the Adventurous first stop girl.
Really?
Yeah. So I used to be on the... I mean, yeah, I can. I used to be on the gas pumps and do commercials and things like that for them.
What?